John Pollock with you alongside Cody Saptic. The UFC is going to be returning to Canada next February on Sunday night, February the 19th. And now we have a main event, coincidentally, with tickets going on sale this week, Cody. Always a good thing to have. And it's going to be a heavyweight rematch involving Stefan Struve and Junior Dos Santos. This was the first fight of Stefan Struve's UFC career all the way back in London, England in February of 2009. These two men have gone on very different paths throughout their UFC careers. Junior Dos Santos becoming a champion. Stefan Struve has not reached that level. So it's an important fight, I feel, for Stefan Struve, but one in which Junior Dos Santos, we've had questions about him, but he looked very good against Ben Rothwell earlier this year.
Yeah, so he's not tied back-to-back victories together since 2012, and I think for the most part, you see him go through these thrashings against Cain Velasquez, you see him lose to Alistair Overeem, you think maybe he lost some of that luster. That performance with Ben Rothwell brought him back. I think he's a man that is obviously at the top of the division. He's a guy that's always been around that top of the division, and with the uncertainty of Stipe being the champ, a man that JDS has already defeated, and then with Cain Velasquez fighting Fabricio Verdum, I think that he's right back in the mix. What you do need for him is you need him to strengthen up that win streak. You need him to win more than one or two fights. So it's a great fight to put together for himself. And if you're Stefan Struve, conversely, he has now won 2 fights in a row since coming back from his heart issue. And I think defeating Antonio Bigfoot Silva, which maybe that's not the biggest win at this point, but defeating him and Daniel Malanchuk in impressive fashion for the pair of them, I think it's a fight that makes sense. I think it's a fight that Canadian fans can get behind because they're big-name fighters. And they're going to have to strengthen the card with some other pieces, but I like it so far.
Yeah, being there for that first card in Halifax, that was a great crowd that night. They filled the building for Rory MacDonald and Tarek Saffiedine. Do you feel just that with these two heavyweights, I mean, you do have a former champion in Junior Dos Santos, and it's been a year and a half since they were in Halifax last. Do you expect that kind of demand from the Halifax audience for this card?
I would, actually. I think people always have this perception that they're like, we need a big Canadian star, and in Rory MacDonald, he's a big Canadian star, so you can have him come on the card and it's going to draw fans. But
people want to see stars.
People just want to see stars, and that's what I noticed at UFC 206, is that it seemed like the biggest pop was for Doo Ho Choi, and yes, it was a great fight, and yes, he's not the biggest star, but it doesn't matter where you're from. People like your fight style. People like guys like Donald Cerrone. People like, the people with the big names. And I think with Junior Dos Santos, a guy known as a wrecking machine, a guy that won that heavyweight title on Fox way back when, he has that name reputation as a former champion. With Stefan Struve, I'm not going to say it's a freak show fight. When you got a guy that's 7 feet tall and young and talented, people really rally behind him. So I think it's a fight that the fans will like. And then as well, you're going to throw some Canadian stars like Elias Theodorou and Ayman Zahabi. And I think it'll be a good offering, so I'll be looking forward to it.
Also, Junior Dos Santos, since that Ben Rothwell fight, he had surgery on his shoulder. And in the Ben Rothwell fight, I spoke to him after that, and it was him getting back to the basics, realizing that, listen, in this heavyweight division, I am a class above at boxing. And that was what we saw a lot of his game plan against Ben Rothwell. Do you feel that it's going to be a similar mindset from Junior Dos Santos of keeping this fight standing, using his striking, because he's taking on someone that incredible reach, but that's always been the part that everyone zeroes in on with Stefan Struve and how effectively he can use that?
Couldn't agree more. If you look at Stefan Struve, he has that reach, but traditionally he's not great at using the reach. And he's been spending a lot of time with Henry Hoof developing that, but you look at how he loses traditionally, and they close the pocket, they hit him, they knock him down. That's how JDS did it. That's how 5 other people in his UFC career have done it. And I would expect if you have that win over somebody already, you have that confidence, you're going to go back to the well. He'll set up his punches better this time around because he's more mature, but I see a similar outcome taking place.
That is the main event coming to Halifax, Nova Scotia, a heavyweight rematch involving former champion Junior Dos Santos and Stefan Struve.